Alright, this project is going to be showing you guys how I made a Bluetooth boombox with a rechargeable lithium battery out of this old school cassette 80s era vintage boombox. So basically I found this on eBay and it didn't work, and I've done a couple of these, and really the goal is to make something that I can use at a party now and have fun with. So start with unscrewing all the screws that hold this thing together, and then we're going to get inside to kind of remove some of the current guts, because again it didn't work when I got it, so no point in saving anything. We're essentially going to put in a new battery and a new amp board that has Bluetooth built into it, and then some new speakers so it sounds good and we don't blow them right away. Alright, I got all the screws out, and then you got to take the knobs off because the knobs actually kind of are integrated into the board that's part of the circuit in there, so the knob's got to come off, and then the existing like half-watt speakers come out. Now this thing is full of old components, so I saved most of them, but you got to get them out of there first. Cut the wires and just unscrew as much stuff as you can. It takes a little bit, and every one of these I've done is different, so essentially it's just finding where the screws are and just keep cutting and keep screwing. Now the buttons on the tape deck, you've got to save those because we'll pull those off. At the end of the day, we want this thing to look back to be how it used to, so we've got to save all the buttons, and again those buttons that are on the tape deck itself, we'll pull those off later. So just cutting all the wires out, pulling everything out as much as possible, and then we've got these protruding screw plugs, so we're going to end up having to cut some of those off so the new speakers fit in there, but we just kind of got everything cleaned out of the body itself, and then we're going to just kind of start cutting. I use a little cut-off tool to do that, but right now we're going to put the new speakers in and really just see what doesn't fit, because those new speakers are so much deeper than the ones I took out that the screw plugs basically stick out far enough that the speakers don't fit in there with well, the case won't fit around the speakers. So I usually just mark those, which ones are hitting, and then cut them off until we get a fit that basically works so that we can put the whole case back together around those speakers. So now that we've got that done, essentially it's time to get some glue together so that we can kind of start putting the components in. Now this is like a little, probably 10-watt stereo little amplifier board that I get on Amazon that actually has Bluetooth built into it. It just runs off, I think, anywhere from probably like 12 to 24 volts, and I have used these quite a bit. They work really well. The one thing I do is always add in like a little, I solder on a little bit of speaker wire to where the antenna is integrated in the board so that it actually has a lot better range. So I just basically glue in the speakers. The speaker holes that basically that exist on these speakers don't line up with anything on the boombox case, so I've just used glue a lot of times to secure those in, and then sometimes I'll be able to get some screws in there as well. So essentially just wiring it up like any kind of stereo speaker wire to the little amp board, and then wiring it over to the speakers themselves, and try and kind of keep the speaker wire at bay with some glue. Just, you're not going to be able to see inside the case, but at least we can kind of get it cleaned up a little bit. So I think really the next thing we got to do is essentially get all the components that were integrated in the circuit board from the old broken part of the boombox. There's some facing pieces and some trim that I want to always save so that I can kind of put it back into the new system and have it look as original as possible. So a lot of times those, have screws to put them back in, or some glue will work. But now we just get the battery wired through the back of the boombox case, and it's got a DC plug that goes into that little amp board on one side, and then the other side's kind of pigtailed, so it's actually got a female and male plug. The male plug goes into the lithium ion battery little pack, and then that female plug stays there so that it's available for a charger to be hooked up without having to unhook it from the battery. So I just hot glue the lithium ion battery pack into the battery compartment there, and it's small enough that the battery cover will go on without having to mess with it, and just a matter of now putting all the buttons back together. So hot glue is the easiest way I know to do it, and I glue all the buttons back in, and the tape deck buttons, and so you're left with a fully functioning Bluetooth stereo that is unique in the fact that it looks like a old school boombox. Alright, the last step, wait for the glue to dry. All the buttons are on, and it turned out really well. Again, this is one of many I've done, and it's really fun, but it's a little different each time. So, you know, it's fun to have the classic look of an old school boombox and to give it new life since it wasn't working before. In the battery compartment now, there's a rechargeable lithium ion battery. So to turn the whole unit on, it's as simple as basically flipping a switch on that battery pack. So the Bluetooth amp board will automatically try and connect once the power's on. So you don't really need to do anything on that amp board, but so just flip the switch of the battery pack on and it'll connect to your phone and start playing, start streaming some music. So thanks for watching.